Let's welcome in our guest. Very proud to welcome in Jeremy Fowler from ESPN, making his debut here on the Christian Arcand Show on our guest hotline. Mr. Fowler, welcome. Great to have you tonight. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It must be a little weird, I think, even for you to be calling into Boston radio right now, talking about a Patriots team in 2025, 2026 now, I guess, that is knocking on the door of a Super Bowl so soon after these awful seasons that we had there. I mean, in terms of turnarounds, where do you sort of put this one historically?
Yeah, I did not expect them to be playing this week in particular, that's for sure. However, I will say, and I was trying to find a clip of it, back in August, I was on some shows, and I did predict, loosely, I kind of couched it, but I predicted that the Patriots could win the AFC East over Buffalo. I said that Buffalo was still the favorite, but the fact that New England spent a lot of money in free agency on players that I was intrigued by that I thought could maybe work, Drake May year 2 jump, Vrabel impact, all that. But I didn't expect them to be, 14 wins in now, 15 wins? Pretty incredible. So it's a perfect storm of like really all those free agent picks hitting, a lot of the draft picks hitting, and now all of a sudden you have like pretty impressive depth. It's not just the quarterback and some of those other things. Like you look at the roster, you look at every spot, like they're good players. Maybe not superstars everywhere, but especially on defense, like they're really deep and they don't have a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah, their defense in particular, Jeremy, I think is something that's taken a lot of people around here by surprise. Going into in the defense, the players in the defense have talked about it, how they've been sort of disrespected a little bit, and I'm guilty of it too. This was a team that during the season was carried by Drake May in the offense and the incredible season that he had, and now here the playoffs are. May's having some trouble with turnovers, and the defense is carrying the day. You sound like you're not all that surprised by this development. I think around here we really were.
Well, the one thing I am surprised by is they don't, at least on paper, have a dominant pass rush. Like if you ask defensive coaches around the league, they'll tell you if you don't have a pass rush, like it's really hard to play cornerback. It's really hard to cover for more than 2 seconds. Like a good pass rush erases a lot of problems. And yet somehow by committee, they've been able to do it. Like Chase On has made himself some money here going into free agency. Like they got some guys that do just enough. And then I think when you have really good defensive tackles like Milton Williams and Barmore, it creates a lot of internal pressure. So they just have a good group, not necessarily a dominant pass rush, but that's what's been impressive and maybe a little surprising is they've been able to do that without it.
Mike Vrabel and the culture that he has instilled in this team and this organization has been written about and talked about at length. How do you sort of view it from the national perspective, and how do you feel about this coaching matchup here coming up with Sean Payton?
Yeah, well, I think with Mike, what he's done is he's shown that he's adaptable, because New England had a certain way that they did things, as we all know, for 2 decades under Bill Belichick, and Vrabel's has intimate knowledge of that. I think he kind of loosened up a little bit coming here and seemed to be more player relationship driven as opposed to trying to be a duplicate of the New England way and the Patriot way. And I thought that was smart, and that has paid off, and he doesn't seem like the type that's micromanaging everything, where maybe in the early part of Tennessee, that was at least the perception, fair or not. So I think he's shown to be adaptable, and the Josh McDaniels hire couldn't have gone better. The right guy at the right time for the right quarterback. So that has really paid off. It's a blessing for New England that he's not a hot head coaching candidate right now because he's had 2 cracks at it. It didn't work out. And so he can't get that third look. So he's not going anywhere. And that's great for the Patriots. So it just seems like every button they've pressed so far this year has worked out.
Yeah, it certainly does. Looking across the field there, Sean Payton and the job that he's going to have to do here with his starting quarterback now out, Jarrett Stidham, a guy that we're certainly familiar with here in New England. We drafted him here way back when. How much of a hill is this for Sean Payton to climb, having to go to his backup quarterback in this AFC Championship game?
Well, when you talk to people here in Denver, and I'm actually here for the game doing some TV coverage for us, and the one thing people say, and the common refrain is that we've got Sean Payton, meaning he knows how to adapt to different quarterbacks. Jarrett Stidham, he's going to play to his strengths. It's going to be interesting because Stidham actually is probably a little more aggressive as a passer than Bo Nix was. Bo Nix will check it down more. This guy will go through his reads, and he'll peruse a little bit and try to go deep or try to stretch the field and drive the ball. But Sean Payton hates quarterbacks that take sacks. So it's got to be a balance that they find. And that's up to Sean Payton to formulate that plan. But he's among the very best at getting a game plan for a quarterback and maximizing that quarterback, and he's proven that over time. So I think that's really his edge right now, is getting the most out of Jarrett Stidham and really the most out of an offense that has some intriguing weapons but is pretty beat up right now. Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant are injured. They were limited today. And then J.K. Dobbins has been out for a couple months, but he's got a chance to come back. So we'll see how healthy they can get beforehand. But they know that they have a defense that's ready for a dogfight, that knows how to adapt to a dogfight, as they showed in the Buffalo game. And so they feel like if they can just score enough points, they'll be there in the end.
So it sounds, I mean, when we talk about the drop-off from someone like Drake May to Josh Dobbs here in New England, it sends shivers up everyone's spine, Jeremy. But when it comes to Bo Nix to Jarrett Stidham, I think that's probably a lot smaller of a gap. Would you agree?
Well, that seems to be the feeling here.
Yeah.
Talking to people with the Broncos, I mean, they're painting Jarrett Stidham to be a reincarnation of John Elway. You know, they're pumping him up right now for sure. But, you know, I think some of their comments are honest. That Sean Payton said that he's the kind of quarterback that will let it rip. That's his personality, but he's got a calm demeanor too. You know, they feel like behind the scenes he's a very smart, accurate quarterback who throws with anticipation. All the things that Josh McDaniels for sure knows about Jarrett Stidham because they've coached him. So they're going to have an edge there. I'm curious if McDaniels knows that Stidham's weaknesses. If he's going to tell Vrabel about it, maybe they get some sort of edge out of this. But, yeah, they're talking up Stidham. I do think he's one of the better backups in the league. If you were to rank 32 quarterbacks, I don't know if he'd be 32, but he'd be pretty close.
We're talking with ESPN's Jeremy Fowler here on the Christian Arcand Show. Jeremy, you mentioned the Patriots, and they're not flashy pass rush. Certainly they didn't have a great pass rush this season, but in the first two playoff games here against the Chargers and the Houston Texans, they were getting home. They were getting to Herbert. They were getting to Stroud. Two pretty questionable offensive lines. Denver's offensive line is very good. So how do you see that matchup playing out on Sunday?
Yeah, that's going to be fascinating because you're right. New England's creating more pressure than I might have thought or that the names on the jerseys would suggest that they could. Especially that Chargers game. I mean, Herbert could not drop back without getting pummeled in that game. So, you know, they've proven that they can create heavy traffic. They can force you into some quick throws, some screens. And even those, they're jumping all over. Like in that Houston game, I mean, they left C.J. Stroud really no room to operate in those kind of short to intermediate passing lanes. And so, you know, it's going to be fascinating to see if they can handle that, knowing that Denver is probably going to try to run the ball steadily. They have the offensive line to do that. So it's going to be sort of a battle of wills in that way.
Yeah, no question about it. The Patriots undefeated on the road this year. They were the only team that was undefeated either on the road or at home in the entire league, which is kind of crazy. And the Denver Broncos, obviously 8-1 at home. Big time advantage up there in the altitude, something I'm sure you're getting used to as well. In this era now, in 2025, 2026, with a lot of young players here on this Patriots team, the elements certainly helped them out here at Gillette with the weather. Is that going to be a problem for them, do you think, in Denver up at the altitude?
Well, there's going to be some action up here with some potential snow on Saturday. I'm not sure yet if it carries into Sunday. Right now it's like 50 and perfect out, but it's going to get colder over the weekend. I think it's going to be a typical Denver game, like pretty cold, maybe a little bit of snow, but mostly pleasant. I don't think it'll be as bad as like that Northeast wintry mix that we've been getting over there in the New England area. So certainly it's nothing that New England isn't ready for and matches up well against. They seem to take pride in playing in that condition. Drake May seems to like it, has no problems throwing in it for the most part, where I thought C.J. Stroud really did last week. Drake May didn't. So it's going to be interesting. And even Denver's defense last week to start the game looked a little sluggish. I don't know if that was because they were coming out of the bye or because the Bills' formations and their ability to run the ball affected that. So it'll be interesting to see if New England can get that moving. That pass rush with Denver is so good, but if you can sort of minimize it by running the ball, that could affect things.
All right, quickly, before we let you go here, Jeremy, you just mentioned the Buffalo Bills. What a day they've had with that press conference and firing their head coach. I mean, it really sort of seems like they're a team that's in the major part of upheaval right now. Is this going to be the Patriots division for a while here? It kind of looks that way.
Well, I won't go that far just because of the Bills' makeup. You know, they still have Josh Allen. They still have a good offensive line and James Cook in the running game. Clearly, they know they need to upgrade a wide receiver and have known that for years and haven't been able to, but eventually they should be able to. Probably not enough talent on defense. So I do think the Patriots go into next year with the upper hand. But I do expect that to be a year-to-year proposition. You would say the Patriots have the coaching advantage right now versus whoever the Bills would hire because it's a weaker candidate pool, and Vrabel was one of the bells of the ball last year, along with Ben Johnson. So the division is probably going to continue to go through one of those two teams. Miami clearly in transition, Jets very much in transition. But the Bills have gotten some comeuppance here a little bit. They were riding high for a long time, and then this has been sort of a humbling 3 days for that organization, I would say. So it's going to be something they have to rebound from.
Absolutely. All right, before we let you go, I know it's Wednesday and there's still more time to think about this, but where are you leaning right now? Backup quarterback there, they're home dogs. How you feeling about this matchup?
Yeah, I still think Denver's probably the more complete team, slightly, very close, but I'm going to go Denver if they can get just enough from Jarrett Stidham. He's going to have to be able to move, though, and he's not the runner that Bo Nix is. That's my issue. If he can, get a few first downs with his legs, I think he can throw the ball well enough to win.
Okay. Well, listen, that's going to be that may end up going viral here, Jeremy. It's nothing I can do about it. It's in God's hands now. But thank you so much for joining us here tonight. It was great talking with you, and don't be a stranger, okay?
Hey, of course. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, joining us here on the Christian Arcand Show. Great stuff from him. That was very, very cool. Very cool to talk with him. Glad that we were able to get him on the show tonight.